Hello, and welcome to part 5 of the Zentangle OCEAN Project. Today we're going to move away from the standard Zentangle patterns that we've been focusing on, which will show up in our final drawing, and we're going to turn our attention to the cartoon elements. So the characters and other shapes that aren't technically Zentangle. And of course, we have to start with a shark. So we're going to show you how to draw a little cartoon shark that'll end up in our final drawing. So let's get started. Today when we start, we're going to use a pencil because we need to sketch out our character so we know where things are going to go before we ink those lines in, especially if you're not familiar with drawing shapes like this. But it's very simple, one line at a time. In fact, I'm going to zoom in. And here's what we do. We're going to start with a big arcing C shape, meaning like the letter C, that just sort of goes all across our paper. Starts in that upper right-hand corner, curves down to the lower right-hand corner. In fact, let me try here so you can see this a little better. There we go. Turn that light off so it's not quite so bright. So we've got this basic arc, and I'm drawing a little darker than what I normally would just so you can see it. And now from here, from this tip, we're going to come back and just not really an aura, but we want to follow the general curvature and direction of that initial line and bring that right to here. And now we're going to go up like this and just create those additional couple little lines, and we've got the basic shape of our shark. Now right here, go up by the nose again, or what is going to become the nose, and let's come down just a little bit, and we're going to draw another C curved shape like the letter C, kind of laying on its side. And that's going to be our mouth for our shark. And then right about here, so we're coming back to that curve, we're going to draw a line that curves outward. And it comes back, and just give it a little, that's that side fin. And now kind of straight across from there, but on the other side of our shark, we'll draw the other fin. And of course we have to have the big dorsal fin, so that's going to come up top. Like that. Now we know that our eyeball is going to go right about there. And we're going to have some gill marks. Probably 4 of those in that general area. And there's going to be that line that goes through the shark, through his midsection, because the bottom of the shark is white and the top of the shark is gray, so we want to kind of have that. So once we've got that sketched in, we can grab our pen and actually start inking, because now we know what's going to overlap and what's going to go behind. So really carefully now we can just draw our shape. I'm stopping where that one's going behind here. Just following these lines around. And remember, these are more cartoon character type drawings, so we don't have to make them flawlessly accurate. We just want to make it clear that we've got a shark here, and he's going to be used in that final drawing. Now once we have that basic shape inked in, we want to create some details here. So we're going to add some teeth. And sharks have those really sharp teeth, and we're going to add some on the top and the bottom. And then inside the mouth, we're going to make a little curved line like that to indicate the other side of his mouth. And then let's ink in that inner cavity there, so to speak, where his, not his cavity in his teeth, but the cavity of his mouth. Get that darkness there. It'll add some more detail to the shark, just like that. And now we want to draw a little kind of like a weird little S shape, and then his eye is going to be in there. Just like that. Kind of makes him look like a grumpy shark. And now these, let's put at a little bit of an angle, and we can be more precise with our placement of them now that we know where the rest of our shark is. And now let's draw this line starting at the top of that fin, and it doesn't have to be a real dark or distinct line, but just a little indication of where the top of that shark is going to be gray, and the bottom, which we're looking at there, of course, as he spins and turns toward us, is going to be white. All right. And we can add a few very gentle hatch marks here across that belly where he's bending. And we could even add a few up here for that shadow, and a few here. And now we can shade him. So we'll take our pencil and let's add some graphite. You don't have to press hard or fill it in completely, but add graphite to what would be the top part of that shark, to the main dorsal fin, and to his tail fins. Then we'll take our tortillon and we're going to blend that and make it like we've colored it with our pencil, but it'll be a nice smooth shade because of how we're doing this, and it will show that gray color that we might expect from a great white shark. And I'm leaving a little bit of white on the edge of that fin just because I want to convey the sense of light and shadow there, and a little bit of belly shadow. And then if you want to, it's not required as we're learning this, but if you want to, you can erase some of those initial pencil lines that we created if they seem to be muddying up or making your image look not as nice as you'd like. You can just go back and erase those. That's one reason we shape it out in pencil, so that we have that flexibility. But there we have our shark. Pretty simple, easy drawing, and we could get more elaborate based on lighting and all that sort of thing, but for now this is all we need to learn how to draw this basic shark shape. Now, one thing we could do to add some more interest or realism to it, we could draw some bubbles to help create that impression that he's spinning very quickly in the water or turning very quickly. Now, ocean bubbles, water bubbles in general, don't look exactly like bubbles. They're little globs of air in the water that are created by the turbulence or by an animal breathing outwardly. And so what I'm doing here is just creating the impression of bubbles with that little bit of a darker spot on their bottom, or on the bottom side. And I'm just drawing some of those along this base of the shark, just so we can see that, there's been some action, some movement here. And this is not a necessary step, but if you'd like, you can practice that. And you can see I don't really have to draw actual detailed bubbles. I'm just adding the sense of those bubbles because they're not going to be super precisely shaped objects sitting there. And now if I zoom out a little bit, you'll see that that just gives that effect of movement from our shark. Like he was swimming this way and he suddenly spun around and is going the opposite direction. But that is the character for today that we're going to be learning, and I'll be back in the next set of videos to show you some additional shapes and characters, and then of course the part that everybody's waiting for, we'll begin to work on our final drawing. But thank you very much for joining me today. I hope that you've had a good time drawing your shark, and I look forward to seeing everyone again real soon back here in the Tangles and Toons channel. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.